This is Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera. Alright, the first thing that needs to happen, okay, is we gotta get rid of that sound. What's up, Jackstore? Welcome back. How you doing? You have Coca-Cola too? Well, that doesn't surprise me. I figure everywhere has Coca-Cola. But little things like Kit Kat, I mean, I guess Kit Kat's part of a pretty major brand, or pretty major company that makes candy, but still.
All right.
I never expect things like that to be in countries overseas. Because it's not that good. Our candy kind of sucks. Our chocolate, I mean, kind of sucks in America. And I had some amazing chocolate when I was over there in Europe. Especially in Belgium. Oh my god, Belgium. Those fucking people know how to make chocolate. And beer.
I'm ready.
But I had some great chocolate in France as well. American chocolate is mostly really crappy. Alright. Let's talk to the young mutants over here. Where were you in Europe? I've been to London, Paris, several places in Italy, some places in Greece, a couple places in Belgium. And that's it. I've never been to Germany or Finland or... Yeah, Nestle. Nestle's a pretty big company, yeah. I've never been to Denmark, of course. I haven't been to any Scandinavian countries. Kit Kat was created in England? Really? I totally thought it was just an American thing. Maybe we shouldn't keep doing this. Who wants to go home? Alright, what's up? We're trying to get a Lopo to check out the Katina, but he's got the heart of a Dossie. The heart of a Dossie. There was lots of neat Numenera near the Katina when it crashed here, but all the stuff that was easy to find is gone now. I think these two want me to die. No one who ever went into that wreck came out again. I heard Albrun has been missing for days.
All right.
Shall I go into the Katina? You're considering moving to Finland? Why is that, son?
On my way.
Alright, fuck it. Let's go in here.
Yes, now.
You're leading to... Seretic, what is that Varjellen doing by the window? His name is Torka Bernardari. Milady, I am measuring our cross-dimensional velocity by estimating the passage of certain landmarks. The Katina will tell you if you just ask. This is so, but if I'm to retain my mental acuity, I must exercise it. You insist, but I would rather let my servants serve. Oh, ghosts. Specters. Leaning toward Norway because you understand the language and they understand mine, but Finland would be cool. You haven't heard? This is delicious. I what? Sprout? Apparently her illicit lover wasn't human. He pollinated her. Whatever she's growing isn't a baby. Has her husband found out yet? He will soon enough, I'm sure. No hiding this one. Crazy stuff's going on in this thing. Would you care for some refreshment, Pandari? My thanks, Saradig. Where is Mathanwi? Right behind you, my dear. Oh, you startled me. A small pleasure. The trip has been surprisingly dull. Okay, hold on a second. Anyway, why do you wanna move? You want a place in the country not too far from a reasonably sized city, where there's beautiful nature and real winters. That you don't have that stuff in Denmark? Look, Anstold, you see the plume's flight, the remnants of Star's passage. Star's passage? What do you mean? They're not the stars themselves, nor the dead pieces. They are fluctuations in time and gravity. They bring in money or offer tribute? Extend my holdings? If not, they're worthless to me. You'll miss much, then. I will teach you someday. I'm just watching ghosts have conversations, apparently.
Doing it now.
Oh, we're starting to repeat now. Embedded in the metal wall is a complicated display. A number of charts seem to track positional variables. Unfortunately, the text is in a language you've never seen before, so you can't discern anything more. Okay.
Trust and honesty are our bonds.
Denmark is flat, wet, and cold, but not freezing.
Alright, here I go.
Well, that doesn't sound great. Must I on? Would it be so different? I suppose it depends on whether you value the journey or the destination. Wake me when we arrive someplace interesting.
On it.
I'm a journey person more than a destination person. Denmark is turning into a shit show on a lot of levels. Alright. Well, I guess, yeah, I can see why maybe you'd want to leave then. In theory, I would like to not live in America, but realistically, that's just not an option for me. I'm kind of stuck here for now. Alright, let's mess with this thing.
All right.
What is this? An oddity. Sign. Racine. A cloak of deepest purple ripples with a life of its own. Upon donning the cloak, the wearer is instantly overwhelmed by a blissful state of relaxation and contemplation, as if undergoing vigorous deep tissue massage. Many a wearer has become so enamored of the cloak that they will jealously guard it with their lives. This particular model appears to have been made for a small child and does not fit you or your companions. Oh, I would love to have a cloak like that. Well, it's about to be turned into fucking shins then. Becoming increasingly nationalist, laissez-faire capitalist, and socially regressive. That all sounds bad. Well, here's the thing. When I hear about laissez-faire capitalism as a concept, it always sounds good to me on paper. On paper. But when you look at what actual human beings do with that, it's always a fucking total disaster. But theoretically, if everybody was gonna not be a dick, then it would be great. But unfortunately, you cannot count on people not being a dick. Because people be greedy. Hella greedy.
All right.
And they are not above sheer dickery. Just to get
Yes.
a little extra profit for themselves. Infrastructure that used to be 100% dependable and as cheap as anywhere in the world has been privatized and is now undependable and expensive. Yeah, that sucks, man. That sucks. This device appears to be one of the engines that once drove this vehicle.
Of course
Okay.
we can help. Right, all?
This passageway leading to the next segment of the vehicle is blocked by debris. This is as far as you'll be able to go. Alright, let's
Ready.
loot this. Oh, we got another oddity. Telling. It's a pair of gloves. It's an odd pair of gloves, made out of a thick brown leather-like material. Feels comfortable and springy. half icosahedral metallic studs are mounted on the knuckles. Very shiny and perfectly smooth. Isn't an icosahedron a 20-sided shape? A 20-sided polygon? Mounted on the knuckles, very shiny and perfectly smooth. They appear to be made out of chromium and feel lukewarm to the touch under any conditions. When worn, the gloves quickly become a burden. The studs begin to make a faint buzzing sound. The longer the gloves are worn, the louder the buzz. After a few minutes, a pronounced fatigue sets in. That fatigue progresses until the wearer feels the same sort of numb sensation in their digits that one would have after wood carving or playing a string instrument for hours. They are impossible to wear comfortably after this point. Tucked into one of the gloves when you found them is a piece of paper. On it is a crude picture of the gloves with various glyphs pointing to specific parts of the apparel. While fascinating, the glyphs do not indicate the glove's purpose. These are weird. Well, oddity worth 400, that's all I need to know. You know what I'm saying? That's 200 shins in my pocket is what that is. Another example would be the ghetto you live in. It's the most violent and rapey location in all of Scandinavia and was created by government policy. And we haven't learned the lesson. We're busy creating more such ghettos. That sounds terrible. Well, no wonder you want to leave. When I think of Denmark, when I think of Scandinavia as a whole, I don't think of it as having places like that, but, well, obviously you do. I think, oh, those Scandinavians, they're so enlightened. Everyone there is just calm and kind and well-educated and well-spoken and fit and clean and treats everybody really good. That's what I think of. That's what I imagine it to be like in Scandinavia. Well, this wasn't a dodecahedron. This was an icosahedron. Alright, this is the one thing in here that I can actually mess with. Maybe I can get the power source for the hilt here. Maybe. I'm gonna go through town and spend some fucking money here in a second, too, because I have a lot of money now, and there's a lot of things I want to buy. Alright. Let's mess with this.
Go.
A pale blue light pulses gently. The air in this space feels charged, almost solid. A small glass control panel, apparently hovering in the air, winks with light and fills with tiny images. You raise your hand to touch the panel. Before you touch it, ghosts materialize around you, crowding you with their intangible presence, with their need. The nearly transparent Vargellan speaks.
What do you intend with this? Suffering will come if you persist.
Who are you people? One of the men, his fine clothes looking slightly disheveled and stained, looks at you for a moment, as if weighing whether to tell you the truth. At last, he says,
I am Anstol. I do not exist.
The other man takes up the thread of the conversation.
I am Ceredic, a merchant noble. I was on a pleasure cruise and sought to expand my business. Neither do I exist.
The woman points to herself and says, Anne, these others are Torqura the Vargellan, Benedari, and her companion Methanwi. She gestures. We do not exist because we are dead, crushed to death in the crash. We are projections of... And now the voice changes. My memory. I am the Catina's intelligence. These projections are the memorial of my failure to serve my passengers. Tell me about these ghosts again. The Vargellan answers your question.
We have told you already. We are the projections of...
The voice changes, continuing. My machine mind.
They exist now as a memorial to the fallen passengers, a testament to my own failure to save them. 3 months ago, a 17-year-old was shot to death in the hedge in your backyard. You thought it was fireworks. They interrogated you for 3 hours because they didn't believe you hadn't actually seen what had happened. Wow. Good times, I guess. Sounds exciting. Did they ever figure out who shot this kid? Alright. Why would you create a memorial for your passengers? Thanwi. Another ghost steps forward. I retain memories of my passengers' actions. I watched them live. I felt them die within me. What else can I do but provide a memorial for them? They would have lived for many more years were it not for my failure. I was endowed with a desire to pilot the Katina, to cause my passengers to arrive safely. This is denied to me. My secondary objective is retaining the knowledge and memory of the circumstances leading up to and surrounding their deaths. This will aid in reconstructing the events of the crash and may provide solace to their survivors. Until such time as a qualified diagnostician arrives, I cannot permit my cores to go dormant. Instead, the emotion I quantify as grief powers my display. Do you know that one of the passengers survived? A woman named Kian still lives nearby. The projections speak at once. My external sensors were destroyed. Some passengers were ejected. Calculations suggested that none could have survived such an event. I am grateful for this information. Katina's voice is subdued, almost pensive. I may have a way to give your passengers a more lasting memorial. I carry a shared mind space in my psyche. If we can link our minds, we could preserve the memories of your riders. One of the ghosts, Benadari, you think, says, in your mind. It's not a question. None of my medical records indicate such a thing is possible. The partner, Mathanwi, adds, however, I conclude that my knowledge is incomplete. If it is possible, but no. My duty is to keep the passengers' memories alive here. Your power will not last forever here. Transferring your knowledge to my mind will ensure the survival of your memories. 100% all day. Siradig's ghost reflects, You may be correct. The loss of physical place may be rectified through a longer and more personal memory space. I carry a neural network. Let us establish a direct connection. Sudden yawn. I have the necessary tool. A hidden panel slides open. Within lies a vaguely head-shaped mass of metal wire, all spines and jagged edges. Place this atop your head, he murmurs. A few more moments and we can begin the data transfer. Alright, let's anamnesis this shit up. 100%. You place the net atop your head and the metal cuts into your scalp. You feel a coolness as blood trickles upward into the device. Thin wires enter your peripheral vision and slip behind your eyes. They slice into your optic nerves and the agony paints blossoms across your vision. The ragged shapes of pain resolve into the world around you. The world as the Katina sees it. Connection established, the Katina announces. A new reflection is forming in the labyrinth. That's what I'm talking about. Telemetry, destination, access to old records, ambient temperatures. It's almost too much to process, but you manage to tamp down the overwhelming flow and relegate it to the background. One by one, the ghosts around you begin to wink out of existence. You can feel them awakening inside you. let's remove the power source from the containment device.
I'll remember that.
Transdimensional power source, that is what I need for the hilt thing, or the handle, this lightsaber thing. With the Catina's intelligence gone, your work proceeds quietly and quickly. You slide the containment device open. Inside the glowing blue tube, you see a rack of 10 cylinders. 9 of them are cold and inert, but one of them hums and blurs, a barely perceptible vibration as it fades into and out of this reality. You gently remove the clamps that hold the powered cylinder in place. The lights wink out. A deep, almost ultrasonic moan ripples down the Catina's walls as the power within the tubes and wires flickers away. An alien voice babbles something over a small speaker near the control panel. You are left standing in darkness. Everything around you is quiet and still. What I'm talking about. Hilt without a blade. Got it. I found a power source of the crashed Catina that appears compatible with the hilt. All that remains is to install it. The cylinder was one of 10 that once fueled the crashed Catina in the bloom. It appears to tap into the power of collapsing singularities. It is a rare source of energy, and only a few special devices would benefit from its unique properties. Attempt to insert the transdimensional power source into the handle. 95% all day.
Making a note.
I did it. I completed a quest. I gained 25 XP. I got the transdimensional scalpel. You take out the cylinder that you found in the crashed Catina and try to slide it into the compartment on the hilt. Initially, it looks as though it won't quite fit, but you discover that if you press the cylinder gently against the opening, it gradually resizes itself and fits neatly inside. A fine, small blade of pure transdimensional energy sprouts from the hilt. You realize that this device is a scalpel. With a twist of the hand, the blade can quickly be switched on or off. Pocket that shit. Pocket that shit. Pocket that shit. Once I installed the power source, a small blade emerged from the hilt, composed of pure transdimensional energy. It appears that this device is a transdimensional scalpel. Cool. Fortunately, it uses speed. Looks awesome, though. Small, fine blade of transdimensional energy extends from a hilt of azure steel. With a twist of the hand, it can quickly be switched on and off. The scalpel cuts through dimensions, rapidly shimmering between different realities and ignoring most mundane armors. Inscribed into the hilt is the name Iaksu. On critical hits, you gain phased. Huh. You know who might use this? Can I get a comparison here? Well, I would say this is better than the Sonic Blade. Yeah. I would say yes.
Let's do it.
Alright.
Fine.
Space train. Or interdimensional train.
On it.
Good times.
Of course.
Young mutants. Baldur.
Yes.
Alright, Garkodo is the last thing left. And then we'll, what did this small want? Oh, it wants Aligurn. It wants somebody with deep, guilt. Deep guilt.
We gotta find somebody with some deep guilt that's not Alagern. Alright. What is up, Mutant Guard? Hands away from your weapons, human. You stand before its noble grace, Garkoto. Keep your tongue civil and you'll keep your tongue. Alright. I can see something. A shadow moving around in there. Let's talk to the thing in the tank. You stand before a painted spherical tank fashioned of metal and synth. The paint is old and cracking. Inside the tank is a murky liquid, or possibly a thickened gas, and every so often you can see motion from a fluke, flipper, or strangely deformed arm within. A cleverly disguised grill on the front of the tank squawks out the distorted voice of the tank's occupant. It buzzes and moans, drawing out some words and shortening others in a burst of static. I am Garkoto, a prince of the Fahat, and their delegate here in Little Niliesh. The voice spits and pops. You have my gratitude for averting the violence with the Memovira's soldiers, but I must know, why did you act? Felt like the right thing to do. It takes a moment, but you identify the strange hissing from the grill as a kind of asthmatic laughter. The humans were most definitely in trouble. However, their deaths would have transferred that trouble to me, and so you have saved me from an inconvenience. And for this you have my gratitude. The bloom is dangerous now, and I would shield my people from that danger, as would the Memovira, I hope. The flux in the bloom, and thus the Memovira's weakness, is apparent in the instability of the maws we use for trade and transport. The old maws are closing, and new ones open to take their place. There is a new maw here in Little Niliesh, one I would like to see opened, but the Memovira refuses to aid me. Won't even leave her fortress. Why am I getting the feeling that the Memovira is the first? But I have said enough. What would you have from me? Why are the maws changing and closing? Do you ask for knowledge or my conjecture? If the first, then I must confess my ignorance. If the second... Garkoto pauses, considering, and the grill hisses and sparks when the mutant speaks again. If the second, I believe the bloom has a feeding cycle. It is an enormous organism, you know, and I suggest that these events are part of a larger pattern. The mutant's vast bulk shifts in the tank. Perhaps the bloom is preparing itself for a new Memovira. I'd like to hear your theories on why the maws are shifting again. I suggested that perhaps the bloom has entered a new part of its feeding cycle, and that it might be preparing itself for a new Memovira. The speaker spits and hisses again. But I do not say this as a certainty. I only read and observe. Oh, so much yawns. Do you want to take the Memovira's place? Garkoto's laughter spills out in a staticky hiss. I do not desire such responsibility, nor do I seek the attentions of the bloom. Where did your people come from? Our home is the city of Niliesh and the steadfasts beyond. My cousins of the Fahat rule over the three-tier city wisely and well. When a maw portal opened in Niliesh,
We investigated to see if we might eke out a profit. We saw enough possibility that our explorers sent for me, a minor prince of the Fahat. I was to head this trade embassy.
Speaker makes a slightly embarrassed noise.
I did not think that the maw would close behind us, but 10 years ago, it did.
What can you tell me of the Fahat?
My brethren are blessed mutants, each diverging into a new pathway for humanity. We rule over the city of Niliesh, using the powers bestowed by our remarkable births to lead normal humanity to a new age of possibilities. We are close in spirit, yet rivals in politics, for the truth of a mutation lies in its ability to prove its use. The subtleties of our machinations are lost here, alas.
Tell me of the Fahat again.
Blessed mutants, each diverging into a new pathway for humanity. We rule over the city of Niliesh, using the powers bestowed by our remarkable births to lead normal humanity to a new age of possibilities.
That makes it sound really good, but what's it really like? You have a whole bunch of humans there enslaved, right? Is that what's really going on? Tell me more about Niliesh. The speaker is silent for a moment.
City was once a machine, a colossal device that creates churn. We built atop the machine, creating elaborate structures and impossible architectures, and our city grew into the sky. The great and powerful of Niliesh live among the fluted spires and the arcing byways, with powered cars lifting us to the skies in a moment. The shops and palaces of our people. Alas, to think that I might die away from my home.
The voice goes very quiet. Tell me about Niliesh again.
The city was once a colossal machine.
He already said that. That's word for word. Okay. Tell me of the Steadfast.
You ask much of me. I can tell you only what I have heard, for our glorious city is in what they call the Beyond. The Steadfast is a collection of kingdoms, principalities, and other lesser denominations of feudalism, held together through the dictates of their religion, the Order of Truth. The Eon priests of the Order have spread their faith far and wide. I hear they have even established a foothold in the city of Sega's Cliffs.
Tell me of the Steadfast again. Word for word. Okay, I have other questions.
Ask.
What was the proximate cause of the fight between the Memavira's guards and your people? The tank's grill spits a shower of sparks.
The bloom no longer favors the Memavira. The bloom is the source of the Memavira's power. If she has no power, the obligation to pay for her protection has vanished. We pay for reality, not promises.
The distorted voice crackles with an electric sigh.
Perhaps our people have grown tired of the humans taking.
Farewell, Garkoto.
I'll remember that.
Oh, I did get a quest. I was just thinking, man, this guy didn't even give me a quest. And then that thing popped up. As you turn, the speaker buzzes once more.
Ah, in case word has not yet reached your ear, I am offering a bounty to the first who can open the newborn maw and tell me what lies on the other side.
The voice pauses.
Curse, the first step is to discover what the maw wishes to eat. Without that knowledge, it cannot be opened.
I'll look into it. Yes, I will look into it. The newborn maw. We already know it's seeking guilt. Deeply seated, strong guilt. A new maw has appeared in Little Niliesh. Garkoto is offering a reward to the first person who opens the maw and tells him what lies on the other side. Oh, this is interesting. Delny, the young mutant woman who I freed from Vrung, is a psychic with strong empathic abilities. She might be able to sense what the maw wants. Oh, Cody has guilt. Oh wow, I got guilt for days here. Okay, hold on. I've learned that the newborn maw feeds on guilt. I'll have to find someone or something that feels a powerful sense of guilt and offer them to the maw. Cody, the young slave I purchased from Parson Flint, feels terrible guilt about the death of his sister, probably enough to feed the maw. The machine intelligence I met aboard the Crash Katina is afflicted by guilt over the death of its passengers. It might be enough to feed the maw if I can find a way to get it there. I love how many different solutions there are. The maw's tongues were drawn to Alagern, who seems to carry a great deal of guilt. However, I doubt he'd offer himself to the maw unless I can convince him. Or Herja. This is who I want to feed, because she was like a bullshit racist. I didn't like her. A warrior I met in Little Nilyash has been imprisoned for trying to poison a whole community of mutants. She claims to feel no remorse, but if she's lying, the maw might draw out her guilt. I'll need Garkota's permission if I want to try this. That's a good idea.
Let's go all. You and me.
I didn't like her. I didn't like her one bit. Nope. Nothing new to talk to her about, so we'll have to talk to Garkoto. Speak! This Prince of the Vahat would hear your questions. The newborn maw feeds on guilt. If you want to know if Herja feels any remorse for her crime, let her face the maw.
I'll remember that.
Yes, his voice murmurs. This is a perfect trial for our prisoner. She can stand before the maw, and unless she has completely divorced herself from human feeling, the bloom will take its due. A fitting punishment. Once she has done this, she is free to go. The speaker crackles. You will find a disc on her forehead. Turn it 3 times Widdershins to release her from her prison. What the fuck is Widdershins? Tell her that if she survives the maw, she has earned her freedom. Why do you want to open the new maw? We are exiles here, far from our home in Nilyash. It is... Sparks fly from the grill. Pardon. We hope that the maw will open again in our fair city. But if it doesn't, as seems likely, we stand to profit from a potential new trade route. Either way, we benefit. Farewell, Garkoto. And you achieve your goals this day. Alright, Herja, I've got news for you. You're going in the maw. Get in the maw, Herja. Back again so soon? Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Have you come to free poor Herja from her cage? Garkoto has agreed to release you, but only if you face the maw and allow it to draw out your guilt. Ha! I have nothing to confess or to regret, so the maw will find me a paltry meal. I accept your bargain. Ooh, Herja's prison. It's an artifact worth 500. This disc held Herja captive inside a psychic cage. Now inert, it looks like a flat circle of metal. You do not know how to reactivate it, but it might be valuable to a merchant. Shit, yeah, it will. The disc on her forehead pulses briefly and loses its cohesion to her flesh. It falls to the ground, and Herja's eyes widen as her imaginary prison disappears. She bends over to pick up the disc, and she passes it to you with a mocking smile. As a knight, I live by my honor, and it's my honor to put some miles between this place and me. A quick jaunt to this maw, and then I'll show my heels. Sure. Get in the maw, get in the maw, get in the maw. With a slight sneer, Herja steps toward the maw. I will tell you what I regret, she declares. Let the bloom do its worst.
Confidence shines from her face, and her proud carriage, even despite the filth that smears her armor, makes her look every inch the knight she claims to be. The maw's tongues reach out to her, grasping and tugging, and as they penetrate into her flesh and draw her close, you can see the first flickers of doubt and fear. Her eyes focus somewhere far away, and she addresses someone who isn't here. She begins to speak through gritted teeth, as if resisting the pull of the maw on her memories. "Spotted Darcy? Ah, I cared little for it, sister, but your sadness made me cry." She breathes deeply, and something inside her seems to break. Her stoic mask begins to crumble. "I didn't mean for them to die. Not like that. Not painfully. Not twitching, twitching. Kicking. Not the children." She swallows. "I sold some of the metal before I crumbled it into the air. I thought the dose was still toxic." Tears began to stream down her cheeks. "Toxic it was, but not enough to drop them. The screams. That was the first time they ever seemed human to me. While skinning the yellow woman, her tentacles, her sting, she cried and wailed, but she was a monster." Urja sobs and her voice drops to a monotone. "Cutting out her babies was a blessing to her. Stopping more monsters from entering the world. We all agreed." That's fucked up. So she's even worse than I thought. She doesn't seem to hear, her voice reciting a litany of further crimes. "When we brought the tunnel down on the diggers, I could hear their cries through the rubble. Rather than offer mercy, I gave them fire to steal away their breath." She was not nice to mutants. Her voice drones on, and somehow this makes her story more horrifying. "I herded the weeping families into the spire, even though I knew the resonances of the chamber would slowly shiver them apart. I hated them, I thought, but it was only because I feared my fellow scorn. I called down the threshers, and I stood guard with my blazing spear to keep the fathers from saving their children. I laughed at their cries, and I disemboweled the one because I thought he might serve as a lesson. His blood ran with that of his children, and they all suffered to see the others in agony. We wagered over who would die first." She stops talking. "I am a greater monster than ever they were." A piece of shattered synth lies on the ground nearby. Urja snatches it with her free hand and brings it to her neck. Tears pour down her cheeks and she murmurs, "I am so sorry." I'm grabbing her hand. What I mean is, Matt Kina is grabbing her hand. You grab her wrist before she can slash her throat, and her pain-filled eyes focus on you. "Let me die," she whispers, and she leans into the synth. You can barely keep it from her. She is strong, and she clearly wants to end her agony. Here's the deal, folks. Now, this is gonna sound weird, and you're gonna be like, what is he talking about? Normally, as a person, I'm pro-suicide. As soon as that comes out of my mouth, I know people are like, what? I'm pro-suicide, so I would never tell somebody that they couldn't kill themselves. I would never call suicide the easy way or the coward's way. I would never do that. But in this particular case, I feel like my character does not want to let her get off this easy, and she's going to feed all the guilt to this maw. So we're not going to let her kill herself. We're going to snatch the synth away from her hands. And by we, I mean Allegorn is going to do that. You manage to pry the synth shard away from her before she can do any lasting damage. To her body, at least. Her mind seems ruined. Her eyes are distant, almost vacant, and she stands on weakened legs. She totters a short distance and looks back over her shoulder at you. I am so sorry, she whispers, then stumbles away. Alright. Justice has been done, and we have a portal, folks. Now we're thinking with portals. Take a drink of water. All the talking that I do while I'm streaming, especially when I'm streaming something like this where I have to read a shitload of text out loud, really makes me thirsty. Air stirs around you, slowly at first, and then a gust as the maw begins to open, expelling atmosphere from an alien world into Little Niliesh. A black tunnel opens, the skein between worlds stretching taut and then snapping like a caul from an infant's face. We have us a portal to Lost Anchorage. Oh, the Lascar are gonna be so happy. Okay. Well, I'm not going in there yet.
One moment, and it's done.
I'm gonna go back here and talk to Homus McGee. I mean Garkoto.
So, Herja lives. Let us hope that she understands the magnitude of her actions. In time, she may learn something of compassion.
The grill sparks and fizzes as Garkoto whispers,
But such is not my experience.
I can't be like, yo, I opened the maw, reward me. No? I guess I have to go through the maw first and see where it leads before. Farewell, Garkoto. Some strange strangled sound comes from the grill at the front of the tank.
Before you go, what became of the device that bound Herja to her prison?
I have worked hard to open this maw and to bring Herja to justice. You know what? No, he can have it back. Fuck it. I have it. Let me return it.
My thanks, friend. It has served me well for years. May you achieve your goals this day.
I was hoping maybe he was gonna reward me. Oh, here we go.
Tell me, what is the state of the new maw here in my settlement?
I've opened the maw, Garkoto, but I haven't gone through it yet.
When you have journeyed to the other side and told me what you found there, I will be happy to bestow your reward.
Farewell, Garkoto.
Done.
Alright. Alright.
Trust and honesty are
We're
our
not going
bonds.
into that maw yet. We're just not. I'm ready to go shopping. I have a ton of money. Stuff to sell for even more money. I am ready to go shopping.
Ready.
Man, I don't want to get rid of Rin. I don't want to lose Rin, and I don't know what to do with all of her stuff. Let's talk to these Lascar. Actually, enter the maw. I've opened the maw, but I still need to find out what's on the other side. I don't even begin to remember what kind of voice I did for this woman.
Sought have we, but alternate routes to the anchorage remain closed. Your fortune, has it been better?
Not yet. I had some questions first. I can't say anything to them about the helmet? No? Okay. Fine. Zoom, zoom, zoom. So there's a lot of merchants. A lot of merchants. There's him. Okay, so there's
Ioxu. There's Sunderman and Sunderman. There's Sheen in here. And then there's a couple merchants in the other place, right? Isn't Kiana merchant? And isn't... Maybe she's not. Maybe she's just an innkeeper. But the other one's Scotty, I think her name is. Or Skady, or whatever. She a merchant. I remember seeing lots of stuff in the stores that I wanted. But I didn't have that much money. But now I have a ton of money. So... Taking the scalpel to Ioxu. No, that's a good idea. I'll go see if he has anything to say about it. I'm going to be going to see Ioxu in a second anyway. Was AFK for noms? Noms are good. Well, I opened up the Maw in Little Nilyash. I used Hersha to do it. Because she was guilty. Huh. I don't know what to do about Waits for Prey.
On my way.
Alright, looks like we've only found one job possibility for Cody. So let's tell Cody about his new job. Cody looks up at you without a word, his eyes as dead as before. I got you an apprenticeship with the Sundermans. You can start immediately.
Making a note.
Oh, like making stuff out of... Studies the bloom flesh he's standing on and shudders. Right. Thank you. He walks away uncertainly, but lighter on his feet than you've ever seen him. She laces her fingers through yours. I think it'll be really good for him. Thank you. No problem. No problem. So that one's done. Freedman. Cody is now an apprentice to Sunderman the Elder. If he keeps at it, he'll learn a lucrative skill that's highly in demand in the bloom. Oh, we're so close to advancing. So close. AFK from Noms, he says. Alright, we can talk to Bruska since we handled her situation.
All right.
See what she's got to say now. And all these characters that I haven't talked to in a long time, I don't remember what kind of voices they had at all. You know what, we're going to talk to Bruska in just a second, because I need to end this episode. If you're watching the stream, don't go anywhere, because I am not done playing, and not done streaming. If you're watching on YouTube, this episode is now concluding. So thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera.